We're going to be looking at what Neville Goddard calls the delusion of man, which is a downfall of many people out there. We are looking at how Neville Goddard explains and helps us to understand the law of assumption and how you can create a reality you would love to have. Coming up in this video, we're going to talk about the delusion that many face, which is the downfall of many when it comes to what they are manifesting and also what they are not. Many are manifesting the opposite of what they would truly love to have. My name is Fazila Bizior. Thank you for joining me on this channel. In this series, I help you decode and understand the powers of reality creation and manifestation. We're going to look at mentally knowing something and spiritually embodying it. Now, what this means is that you can mentally know something, but you won't understand it and how to apply it. We're going to look at the redemptive nature of humans. Your imagination, or the power of your subconscious, and in this particular episode, the power of your assumption, is the instrument of redemption. Redemption is not a religious construct, nor a moral one, and nor is it seeking absolution. It is not about avoiding anything, but redemption is to attain that which you truly desire. So join me in this week as we look into all of these aspects, and so that you can understand how to effectively and correctly apply the law of assumption. In chapter 3 of the power of awareness, this is the power of assumption. It is a short but punchy chapter in terms of where many people are not aware of why their manifestation is not going according to what they would love to have in their lives. But let's start out with, what is this concept of assumption? The first place we're going to start out with is understanding what an assumption means. Now, an assumption is something that is accepted as true, or there is a certainty it will happen without the person having proof or evidence. Now, it can be seen as a false belief or a judgment about an external reality. In this instance, when we talk about manifestation, we assume that something will happen, or there's a certainty it will happen without first having proof or evidence of it. A very important opening to this chapter is what Neville talks about. He says, man's chief delusion is his conviction, his belief, his assumption that there are other causes other than his own state of consciousness. Because everything that happens in a person's life happens as a result of his own state of consciousness. There are no second causes. There are no external powers that are ruling your life. There are no external causes that are creating anything in your life. Our state of consciousness is everything we think, we desire, or we love. And it's everything we believe is true and we consent to. So this is the same thing as the definition of assumption. Your state of consciousness is everything that you have accepted as true, or you believe there is a certainty it will happen even before you have seen the proof or evidence of it. So how does this tie in terms of what you want to create in your life and what you want to manifest? Well, your state of consciousness leads and directs everything in your life. I have 2 videos which talk about this in detail: as above, so below, and as within, so without. As above, so below. As is in your imagination, so it will be in your physical life. As within, as is the internal consciousness in terms of your beliefs, whatever you hold internally, whatever you are conscious of being. So without, it will be that your external reality will be the reflection of what is going on internally. In terms of the power of your assumption, whatever you believe to be true, whatever is your state of consciousness, is what will be created in your external world. If you are to change anything in your external world, a change of consciousness is going to be necessary before your reality will change. Be ye transformed by the renewing of the mind. You will be transformed by changing, by redeeming. Redemption is attaining the ideal. I'll talk a bit more about this later in the video. When you renew your mind, when you change your consciousness, you can then change your world. We know that a change in consciousness is very necessary in order to change our external reality, and we do this by the renewing of our mind. Renew your mind, the whole basis of your thoughts must change, which means that You have new ideas about everything that you are wanting to be, do, and have in the world. Your new ideas must actually be so deep and so intensive that it must become a burning desire in order for this transformation to take place. In the renewing of your mind, you must be so clear in terms of what it is you desire, and you must have a desire from this perspective of in being intensive and being a burning desire before this change of consciousness will take place. You cannot just have a lukewarm idea. You cannot be wishy-washy about what it is you desire. And when we talk about desiring to be different and to intend to be different, you must already have an idea of what that ideal would be, of who you would be as the person who has now become someone different. That assumption, that thing that you desire as to be true for you, or you have a certainty that this is going to happen without seeing the proof and the evidence of it, must become a dominant feeling for you. Otherwise, this doesn't work. If you had to wake up one morning and be like, I think I'd like to have more money, or I think I'd like to live in a different country. There's not much power behind that. And when we do not have a burning desire, one that is lighting us up from within, it cannot ignite within us the passion, and it cannot ignite within us the feeling. Having that dominant feeling of what you truly want to have doesn't come about. When you have a desire that you'd love to see manifest in your life, you want it so badly, it is a burning desire, and you intend to become the person. You intend to become you intend to be the person who already has that reality. You can never be the same when you have that which you desire. So choose, if you have a burning desire that your income as of now is 10 times what it is that you are currently seeing in your reality, and you are so convinced, and you hold the intention, and you also hold the energy, you hold the feeling, you hold the character, you walk as though you are the person who has that already, then what it is that you are doing is making your future dream a present fact in imagination. And your assumption, remember, the definition of the assumption is you are assuming, you see something as being true for you, or you see it as a certainty even without the proof or evidence currently. So when Neville says make the future dream a present fact, become the person who already has that reality, many people get stuck in here. They will focus on the problem, they will focus on the lack of, and in that they assume that to be true. They believe totally that the external reality is the one that is true for them. At the beginning of the chapter, Neville says, man's chief delusion is his conviction that external circumstances are the cause of his reality. And it is really not. Everything starts from you. The cause of your reality is your assumption. So this is why this chapter is so important to understand. In the previous video where we went into understanding I am, we now see I am is leading in terms, I am is the cause, I am is the activator, I am is your reality that you are creating for yourself. So whatever words you put after I am is what you're going to create. And many people are creating from lack. I am broke. I am sick. I am tired. I am lonely. They are creating an assumption of God. They are creating an assumption of their reality by focusing on the problem. So be very, very aware. Be more deliberate and conscious in terms of where you are placing your focus and what you are making as an assumption for you and your life. In giving birth to your ideal, in giving birth to your desire, you must remember that the methods of mental and spiritual knowledge are entirely different. Let me illustrate this. When we mentally think of something, what often will happen is that we will think of it, we will think of the action, we may think of the idea. In this instance here, someone who wants to become healthy and have a good, strong body, they are visualizing themselves from the third person perspective. It is like watching a movie. When they go into their visualization, their assumption is, I'm healthy, but I'm watching myself lift weights. Whereas when you are looking at the spiritual perspective, you only think from it. So as of today, when you are visualizing, when you are bringing in the feeling of your ideal, your desire, you need to put yourself into the scene. And you go into the quiet space and you visualize the scene. You will not see yourself working out. You will go into the picture and you will have the feeling of the person who's already worked out. You will have the view of the person from the first person view. You will, in this case, see your hands and see the weights in front of you. Neville said that when people actually start to understand this point of assumption, and they understand how to assume, and they understand what it is that they will bring, what they will create in terms of the ideal scenario. Maybe 1 in a million people will truly understand this. You cannot know a thing simply by looking at it from the outside, and you cannot compare it to other things or analyze or try to define it. You must know it spiritually. You must think from it. So when you are thinking from it, you are going to think, you will feel, in this case, if you were to be lifting weights, you're going to feel the resistance. You will feel your muscles straining. Whereas if you were looking at yourself working out, you're not going to have the feeling. You're just going to be observing. The same is true for anyone who wants to have their own car. Mentally, they can think of it and they will have the visual of seeing themselves driving. But spiritually, when you think from the aspect of a driver, as a driver, you will be looking through the car's windshield and you won't see your face. You're not going to see your face. You are only going to see your hands on the steering wheel. You're going to see the traffic outside ahead of you. So again, remember, you must understand this point. You can know something mentally, you can know of it, but you must think. When you are to spiritually have this knowledge, you must think from it. And this is the difference in terms of the law of assumption. You have now assumed it is true and it is a certainty that you will be driving a car. And where many people might actually see themselves driving a car as though they were watching a movie, here you're going to see yourself in the car, driving the car, participate in the scene. You're not watching the movie, but you are in the movie. You must become the thing itself and not merely talk about it or look at it. It is like this. You must be like the moth in search of his idol, the flame, who, spurred with true desire, plunging at once into the sacred fire, folded his wings within till he became one color and one substance with the flame. He only knew the flame who in it burned, and only he could tell who never to tell returned. So just as the moth in his desire to know the flame was willing to destroy himself, so too must you become a new person who is willing to die to your present self. You must become conscious of being healthy if you are to know what health is. You must be conscious of being secure if you are to know what security is. If you are to bring into existence a new and a greater version of yourself, you must assume that you are already what you want to be. And then you live by faith in this assumption. You must have confidence and conviction. Your faith must be that you have already achieved. You are the person, you are the version who already has the health, who already has the car, who already has a successful business. When you incarnate as the new version, you must have absolute faith, absolute loyalty and fidelity to that assumption that you are that which you desire. This is what wholeness means. It's what integrity means. You submit your whole self. You go, your old self is given up for the new. You submit yourself to this feeling of this wish that you've assumed to be true for you. You have certainty. You live from the truth that you are already that person. You walk, you speak, and you think as that person. in a previous video, I spoke about how there are certain actors who've gone on to receive Academy Awards or be nominated for Oscars because they didn't just act, they didn't just portray the part of a particular character. They became the character. There are stories from many different movies where an actor lived as that character throughout the shooting of the movie. And that's what it is that you are doing. Is your assumption is that you are this person already. It is not that you're waiting for it to materialize. It is not that you're waiting for your salary increase to be approved, or that you are still looking for a car, or that you are going to be healthy, or that you have a successful business. You are already convinced that it is your reality, and therefore it must be true. And when it is your truth, you will see that it becomes your external reality. And when you see that, when you live from this truth, this is how you can change the world around you. This is how you will change the world around you, because your inner state of consciousness, as within, leads and it changes the outer state of your reality. It changes the physical world. In order for your desire to be manifest, it must be relevant and specific, and it must be aligned in terms of your state of consciousness. So your state of consciousness, what you are conscious of being, cannot be a state of lack while you desire to have wealth. The two must become one. Like the moth gives up its body in order to become one with the flame, so too, you must assume the feeling, this new feeling of that greater life, and it must become a new concept of yourself. It must become your new belief. It must be the assumption that it is true, it is real for you. Because Neville says this, you possess what man possesses what the rest of nature does not. You have an instrument by which you create your world, and that instrument is the power of your assumption. It is the power of I am. It is the creator. It is this creative power that you have within you. And in saying that, Neville says, imagination is the only redemptive power in the universe. Your imagination is that means. It is the instrument that you will achieve redemption. What is redemption? Your imagination is the means. It is the instrument through which you achieve the redemption of health, wealth, prosperity, love, a new home, a new car, whatever that might be. Redemption is the attainment of your ideals. It is not absolution. It is not any religious or moral code. When you take responsibility that you alone are the creator of your reality, when you understand this fully, that the power of your assumption, the power of your imagination, the power of your awareness is how you create your reality, you will then have understood this from a spiritual perspective. So you can then attain freedom from that old state of consciousness to step into the new, and to step into the new state that you would love to have. This is where Neville wraps up this chapter with saying you have the freedom to stay as that present concept of yourself, you being where you are a hungry being who is longing for freedom, for health, security, etc. Or you can choose to become the instrument of your own redemption. And that redemption is to attain your ideal. And you redeem yourself. There is no redemption from a religious perspective. It is only that you have changed your mind. You have revised the old version. You have let go of the old version. You've become so intensive in terms of your desire. You become one with your desire. And your old concept is let go. And the old beliefs, the old concept of yourself, that old version of yourself dies. You have power to change what it is that you believe as true and real for you. Only you can consent and accept a state of consciousness. Only you can consent and accept a belief. When you start to understand the law of assumption is that my consciousness creates my reality, my thoughts, my beliefs, everything that I think, I feel is what is creating my reality. I become the person who lets go of that old identity, like the moth who was drawn to the flame. You are drawn to your desire, and that desire is so intensive and overwhelming that it shifts everything in your consciousness. You accept it and you consent to it, and you believe that is your truth. Test the law. When you give up an old belief of lack or I do not have, and you do not give in to what your 3D reality is saying, and you do not believe that what your senses are witnessing right now, whatever the state of lack is, when you give that up and you step into the persona, the version of the person who already has that desire, how would it feel if you were driving your car, if you wanted a new car? How would it feel if you were living in that dream home of yours? That's the feeling you must carry. And that's the certainty that you must live by. And that's the faith that you will feed, is that it is yours. Let me know in the comments below if you've had any of your manifestations turn out to be the opposite. You must look at what your state of consciousness, not just what you desired, but what were you truly believing? Did you have doubts? Did you have thoughts that it's not going to happen? And by the way, what I have experienced in certain instances, the power of my assumption, the power of me accepting and consenting to a truth has been so strong that even when I've had some doubts, they weren't strong enough to take me, they weren't strong enough for me to actually start believing in my doubts. I still believed in my desire being attained. I still believed that I was redeemed. I redeemed myself through using the power of my assumption, where I assumed that I had my dream home. I assumed that I have my clients. I assumed that I have a new car. Watch out for my next video where I'll be talking more about desire. Use this video to understand what the power of assumption means. What have you assumed to be true for you? What have you consented and accepted as being true for you? Go examine those beliefs and you can revise them, change them. If you want to know more about how to revise, there are a few videos I can recommend. I'll link them below. If you have decided to follow through with the 30 days of I am meditations, also let me know. Look out for the creative power of I am, a previous video where I talk about the power of I am and how you can join in at any time to do the 30 days of I am meditation. I've just started on the third week of the I am meditation, and it's very simple. You just go into this quiet space and you repeat, I am, I am, I am. I've had some very interesting experiences thus far, and it's given me quite a few observations about what is coming up within what my state of consciousness is, or what's changing for me. So you can join that at any time. If you put a comment below the creative power of I am, I will put the video link there so that you can go to that video, watch it, and let me know in that particular video and thread that you are starting on the 30 days of I am meditation. I will be supporting you and cheering you on. I will continue with the I am meditation because there is so much that's unfolding for me. With each week, there's a deepening, there's an expansion. And I'd love for you to have that as well. My name is Fazila Bizior, and it is my pleasure to bring these videos to you. I trust that you are expanding in your imagination and your concept of self. Let me know how it's going. I will see you in the next video.